This video contains information that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are a viewer and are triggered or shocked by images and need a warning prior to every clip or story being discussed, then please unsubscribe from my channel immediately. My channel covers the harsh reality of even the worst crimes imaginable and is for adults only. For those of you who fit into this category, take this message as your warning and don't watch any further. How's it going, everybody? Another shitty night for the Blazers. They just aren't making the same shots that they were making. Has nothing to do with the Lakers. Everyone's like, oh, the Lakers, the defense. No, they're just missing all the same goddamn shots that they were making before, okay? But whatever. It is what it is. The progress, very little, a little bit of improvement today, just very little. But doesn't sting quite as much right now. Still have a hard time, it's really hard to reach over to that shoulder. See, this arm I can reach way over. This one I can only go to about there, 90 degrees out, the elbow. And, the wrist seems like it's a little stronger, that I can lift up on it now. I can actually go like this. But just not much. It really sucks how slow this is. I'm hoping to wake up one day and go, oh, wait, back to normal. Well, I think it's easy to go backwards because I have these stupid... I can actually feel now where the... Hey, thanks, Cairo. Yep, you're a union. I can feel where the... where it's sore behind my shoulders, where they strapped me down so hard that it injured the, the nerve there. So I can actually feel how sore it is back there. So it feels like if you sort of sit on that wrongly or something, it might set you back a little bit. It's really frustrating. Yeah, I can't, it's hard to even do a robot. Wow, Chloe, what are you doing? She was
nice
just playing.
shirt, grey snake go union.
Yeah. So right now, and this finger right here, I'll show you. This finger's pretty much numb on the outside of it right there. On the inside it feels okay. This finger, this one, and this one are pretty normal. The thumb is numb right there, kind of going around the back of the wrist. And then this muscle doesn't work really well right here, so I can't lift my arm up. And then the back of the, whatever muscle that controls back here doesn't really work too well. It's like 10%. So that's where I'm at right now. The original reason I went into the surgery seems to be pretty good, which is frustrating. Anyways, yeah, I was watching IDTV this evening, and I saw this one case I've seen it twice now. So I thought I'd go back in time and do the newspaper.com. It's one of those ones where any theory that you might have came up with while the story was going on when it originally happened is absolutely nothing like what actually happened. It's not even close. Yeah, I'll probably need physical therapy at some point. Yeah, but I got him to extend 3 more days of steroids so last night and tonight and tomorrow. And then I'll just see where it goes from there, Seems like it's, it does feel like it's kind of getting better, Yeah, and I noticed that I've got a lot less members now, and Patreon people have dropped off. I hope it wasn't something I've been doing. It's like, oh, wow, I'm even coming on when I'm injured. And all of a sudden, oh, wow, it's just kind of frustrating. You know, the Patreon really helps a lot too, because that goes right into my PayPal, and that's part of the money that I use for the bonus at the end of when we do the donations. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's really disheartening, you know. It's like, hey, I mean, I know some people, you know, from COVID and shit, you know, but I mean, I built this all up during COVID, so it's weird how, I don't know, doesn't really feel quite. But yeah, we're at 50,360 something subscribers. I'm talking about the membership. Because the memberships all go towards that percentage that I donate to. All right. Anyways, I'm going to get going on the first case I was going to talk about. It's just a cold case. Still seems cold as hell. They're re-looking at it again, but I just don't think they're going to... I don't think DNA is a viable option. Alright, so here we go. Oh yeah, and then in the Amanda Goodman, remember that case where the girl was at school, and on her way home from school she was abducted by somebody, and her body was thrown out on the side of the road. You know, some person claiming to be a police officer or whatever. I don't know who he is, I have no evidence. Sent me a message, wanted more information. You wanted to kind of look at it on the side. But I was like, well, God, if you're a police officer, why do you need to talk to me? You could just, you know. Thanks, Kit Kat, Jessica Schubach, Claudia Neubauer. I mean, I mapped it all out and everything. I remember that lady named Judy came on one time. No. Not by Lake Tahoe. It was in Texas. I've covered it many times on there. Amanda Goodman. Here, I'll just do a quick.
Remember to become a member, hugging face.
There it is. Yeah, see, you remember this one? Amanda Goodman, she lived in this apartment right here, and then she was over at her school right here, and then was last seen going to be walking home to her apartment complex right over here. And then a car came by and picked her up, and then her body was found way down right here where this pin is, on the side of the road, in a ditch. And she was posed. Remember that one? She was posed, and the person that we've talked to thinks maybe it was the priest that lived there.
I got a member for Kit Kat.
Really, Billy Boy Blue? That's no double entendre at all. Oh boy. Anyways, so somebody contacted me. I don't know if they're legit or what, but you know. So anyways, we got that one. Let me go now. Let me get to the one that I'm going to be talking about now. It's pretty interesting now. Wow, thanks, Miss Goose. Wow, a cat eye right off the bat. Let me see if I can catch it before it... Oops, that won't work. Will it work? Will it pop up on the screen? Hopefully it didn't miss it. I guess we'll know. If not, there's the obligatory... Come on. Come on. I don't know. I don't know what the... Oh! Okay, that was Kevin Brown, so maybe it is still out there. Thanks, Kevin Brown. Well, Kevin Brown was after that, but sometimes they do it later. I don't know. We'll see. No, there we go. See? They were trying to trick me because that should have been before the other one. There we go. There we go. That was hilarious.
Loves you, Bray, and all the Freak family and mods. Gray, you're the best. Growing heart, throwing kisses, throwing kisses.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thanks, Ro. Dun, dun, dun.
Leprechauns say hi while doing a wee jig.
Well, hello. Okay, I'm going to switch screens now to the this case. It's Elizabeth Lynn Barkley, 1979, in Austin, Texas. This is her right here. She's 11 years old, or was. Okay, this is 1979. Law officers searched area lakes and rivers today after... Oh, excuse me, 7 years old. The other story has 11. 7-year-old girl was abducted from an alley near her northwest Dallas apartment. Witnesses told police the abductor said something about drowning Elizabeth Barkley, who lives with her mother at... Oh, now I didn't see that before. 9620 Starlight Road. Well, no, I did get that. It's not... There's no house there anymore, though. So if you go to 9620 Starlight Road now, it's kind of a... It's like a mall or something. You know, I don't even know what that is. But even if you go back in time, you can see that one time there was a field there. So perhaps even before that, because this is 1995, maybe before that there was a house in that location.
Mini wave woman surfing.
Well, thanks, Kit Kat. Yeah, so there was a house probably right here, but there isn't any more. Witnesses told police the abductor said something about drowning Elizabeth Barkley. The young girl was taken as she and a younger brother and a neighbor child walked to a neighborhood convenience store to buy ice cream. Police said the girl's mother is divorced, but they had no indication that domestic problems were involved in the abduction. Her ex-husband is stationed with the Army in California. George Potter, whose son was with the girl when she was taken, said he told the children to stay together as they went to the store. See, isn't that weird back then? You would let a 5, 7, and a 3-year-old walk to the store together? He said about 15 minutes later, his son JR returned and said, some men got Elizabeth. Now that's plural, right? Potter said he first thought his son was kidding, but when I saw he wasn't kidding, it scared me half to death. The children described Elizabeth's abductor as a black man, so now it's singular, about 30 years old and husky with sideburns. He was driving what is believed to be a black or gray 1974 two-door Buick, police said. Thanks, Linda Howell. Okay, now this is the next day. The family of 7-year-old Elizabeth Barkley has offered a $5,000 reward for the safe return of the little girl or the arrest and conviction of her abductor. A 24-hour day search for the child entered its third day today. So this is the third day they've been looking for. It wasn't in the paper, obviously, the first day, because you have to get the news and then print.
Wave.
Yeah, Linda Howe, as in Linda Moldenhow of the cattle mutilations on Art Bell, although it's spelled differently. There we go. Elizabeth, who is 3'6" and has long blonde hair, was abducted Tuesday evening as she was walking to a store to buy some ice cream with 2 other youngsters, her 3-year-old brother Scott Barkley and a 5-year-old companion J.R. Potter. The 2 other children were not... What the heck was that?
They're running around.
What was that sound though?
No, they're running to the dirt.
Oh wow, that was just totally made my neck creep out. God, my dogs jumped onto this thing right behind me. And it was just... Hold on, I gotta get the stinging out now. Hold on. Okay. Elizabeth, who was 3 foot 6 inches tall, has long blonde hair, was abducted Tuesday evening as she walked to a store to buy some ice cream with 2 other youngsters, her 3-year-old brother Scott Barkley and a 5-year-old companion J.R. Potter. Thanks, Billy Boy Blue! The 2 other children...
Hey, is the Kubitschek chick single?
I don't know. The 2 other children were not harmed, but they told police a husky black man in his 30s abducted Elizabeth and threatened to take her and throw her into the water. Police scoured all area lakes and creeks Wednesday without success. The nucleus of a 35-officer task force was ordered to resume the search at 8 a.m. today, but some officers worked on the case throughout the night. The missing girl lived with her mother, Linda Barkley, at the Northwest Dallas apartment. Mrs. Barkley is divorced, but police discounted domestic problems in the case. We have questioned her thoroughly, and we're satisfied the abduction was nothing whatsoever to do with the relationship she has with people. So at that point, you're in a bad place in terms of figuring out the answer. This is one of those random things. George Potter said he gave his son money for the ice cream. I said, "Are you going with Scotty's mama?" And they said no, Potter said. I thought, well, nobody's going... Okay, this is the part about how they came to go get ice cream. So George Potter, the father of the J.R. Potter, said he gave his son money for ice cream, and then he said to the kid, "Hey, are you going to go with Scotty's mama?" And they said no. And then Potter, the adult, said, I thought, well, nobody's going to bother 3 kids. See, that's one of those things. I bet you he's never forgotten about that. Probably destroyed him. But back then, you know, in a town like that, it was probably just nothing. It was like living in Delphi or something. Relatives of the child headquartered at Mrs. Barkley's apartment to wait out the crisis, including the girl's father, David Barkley, who flew in from San Francisco, where he works as an Army research technician. We've got family from all over who came as soon as they heard. An aunt from Matagorda Bay near Galveston, he said. You know, so everybody was still looking for her at this point. Okay, then the next day in the paper, they're holding a suspect. Police held a man today who fit the description of the kidnapper, so obviously a black man, of a 7-year-old girl who has missed for 4 days, but officers admitted they were not optimistic about the possible suspect. So they weren't optimistic, and it turned out it wasn't. He just had a car that was sort of similar and sort of looked like that. See right here it says, the 2 little boys told police a husky black man in his 30s whisked Elizabeth off into a black or gray 1974 Buick. I wonder how police can say, oh yeah, it's a 1974 Buick. You know, the kids aren't going to know that. They're 5 and 3. You know, I mean, if you know a 3-year-old that's telling you, oh yeah, it's a 74 Buick, you should immediately enroll him at like NASA or something. I mean, there's no way in hell a kid that age, maybe just their description they knew it. Anyways, the potential suspect was arrested Thursday night as they searched for the 1974 dual gray Buicks. The man who was arrested on outstanding traffic tickets generally fit the description of the abductor. Right. So what you're basically saying, he's black. Okay, so yeah, 1979. Right, so this is 2 days over. 2 days later, I mean. Family reports information on missing child. The family of a 7-year-old girl missing since Tuesday night searched the areas. Now, this is the part that starts pissing me off a little bit. Searched the areas around 2 lakes Saturday after they said an informant reported the girl was released unharmed. Elizabeth Barkley was abducted as she walked with two young friends to a neighborhood store to buy ice cream. The friends told police that the man who took Elizabeth said, "I'm going to throw her in the water." David Barkley, the girl's father, called a news conference Friday to ask the public's help in the search. "We have had certain information as to the possible whereabouts of my daughter," Barkley said. He asked anybody out this weekend in the vicinity of the White Rock and Lake Dallas to please be especially watchful because it has been reported she is out there. Hey, thank you, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming sub Crystal. Still, the longest name, legitimate long name in YouTube history. There's been people trying to copy you lately, I've noticed, but... Okay, but look at that. It has been reported. White Rock is in the city limits on the east side of town and Lake Dallas, also known as Garza Little Elm Reservoir. The Barkleys declined to reveal their source, saying they had agreed to keep the informant's identity secret. They said they had not even told police the source of the information. The latest report we have is that she was released. We assume she has been mistreated and has not been fed, so I would assume she's going to be lying somewhere and not walking, Barkley said. At one point during the news conference, he wept. Relatives of the missing child have posted a $5,000 reward. Okay, well, the next day we get the source of it. Here we go. It's really ludicrous. Searchers acting on tips from psychics have continued a relentless but unsuccessful hunt for a 7-year-old girl abducted last week. Isn't that embarrassing? What a joke. Elizabeth Barkley, I'm having a hard time saying Elizabeth for some reason, was last seen Tuesday by two young friends who said she was taken as they walked to a neighborhood store by a man who said he would take her and throw her in the water. Linda Barkley pushed through thick grass and waded in northwest Dallas creeks by late Sunday. Hey, thank you, Allison R. Hey, Billy Boy Blue, you'll have to ask Kubitschek on your own if you're still out there. Yeah, so Linda, okay, so she said her weekend search was inspired by unidentified psychics who told her they envisioned the missing girl near trickling water, high grass and trees. When I first started talking to the psychics, every time they'd mention something, I'd say, you know what? So here's what the psychics were doing. They preyed upon this family using the original police reports where the quote, the black man, the suspect said, "I'm going to throw you in the water." Now they, sprinkle in some trickling water and things, to make it just, it's so disgusting, man. Please out there, everybody, do not believe in psychics. And every chance you get, shun and avoid them. Like literally bash and cut them down. Okay? I don't care that law enforcement uses them sometimes. All they're talking to is somebody that's a person that, the ones that are, quote, good psychics, you know who they are? They're somebody like me who can look at the information, come up with a reasonable theory, and then you sort of put it out there, and by God, I mean, imagine on 80% of these cases that we covered, if I pretended and came from a psychic angle. At the end, you'd say, wow, did you hear how close Gray was with his visions? Ooh, wow. Okay? I think it's absolutely disgusting, all right? So you're never going to see me going. I mean, it's sad, too, because they give hope when there seems to be none, but it's not good hope, it's sick. Yeah, that's exactly right. Look at that's exactly what you just said is exactly what I think is said later. When I first started talking to the psychics, every time they'd mention something, I'd say, "I know where that is," Mrs. Barkley said. "But you go here and you go there, and it looks the same." I've been in some places that I don't want to leave because I feel so strongly that she's there. Mounted police units and helicopter patrols have conducted an extensive and fruitless search for the girl since Tuesday night, and the officer said that their efforts are being complicated by callers claiming to have psychic powers. See that? Their efforts are being complicated by these idiots. They would have to get a map now to find an area in Dallas we haven't searched, said Police Sergeant Harold Rice. The police searches, that was pretty funny actually, included White Rock Lake and Dallas city limits, blah, blah, blah. You know, anyways, it just pisses me off. And you guys remember that case we had that we discussed like a year ago or something, where there was a young black girl that was like dismembered in I don't even remember what city it was in, and the officer literally took her clothing and sent it to a psychic right off the get-go. Because, boy, they're so good. And guess what happened? The psychic lost it. Oh, the one piece of crucial information. So I think it was one of those Doe projects, right? Really, I think psychics are irresponsible people. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so now we're going to move forward about a week or so. And the parents just come out and say, hey, you know, we still need you guys, everybody's help. But I bet you the stories about psychics didn't really help. I think at that point, as soon as you bring psychics out on day 4, I think people start going, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time. I mean, people with brains aren't going to show up to a location knowing that you derived the information from a psychic and spend all day looking around. Okay? All right, so now we're moving forward about 6 more weeks in December, and then they find a body, okay? And it wasn't near a pond, okay? Grief-stricken parents waited anxiously while medical examiners sought to confirm today that the decomposed body found dumped alongside a country road was that of a 7-year-old Dallas girl abducted 2 months ago. This is just not fair, said the father of Elizabeth Lynn Barkley. Why such a beautiful, loving girl should have to end her life this way, scared and away from the family that loves her. It's also not fair since the man who did this is still out there. We have tried all the time not to think bad of him, but now I have nothing but hate for him, David Barkley said. A farmer hauling hay stumbled across the remains of a girl hidden in tall grass off a secluded gravel road near Wills Point Thursday, said Lieutenant B.G. Maroney of the Dallas Police Department. Animals had strewn some of the bones across the roadway, he said. Maroney said clothing, white shorts and a red and white blue halter top found on the body matches what that worn by the Barkley girl when she was abducted near her Dallas home on October 23rd. Maroney noted the body was so badly decomposed that Dallas County medical examiners will be forced to rely on the child's dental records in order to make the identification. Elizabeth was abducted as she walked to a store to buy some ice cream with her 3-year-old brother Scott and 5-year-old companion J.R. Potter. The 2 other children were unharmed and told police a husky black man in his early 30s kidnapped the blonde-haired little girl and threatened to take her and throw her into the water. Hence the psychics. Oh, near a bubbling creek. Officers checked alleyways, gravel pits, lakes, creeks, and rivers, while 13 tactical squads combed the immediate area without success. Police also chased leads provided by self-described psychics who reported visions, with quotes around it, of locations where the girl could be found. But police, who at first said they would welcome information from any source that could help find the girl, later complained that the psychics' tips were hindering their efforts. Amen! Family members, friends, and volunteers searched frantically for the missing girl and the gray car that seemed to be the only clue. And when others had given up the search, Barkley continued alone, driving the streets, always looking for the car. I don't think the person lived there, actually. So, there you go. That they found a body. Then, on the very next day, it was confirmed that that was her. It was pretty obvious since the clothing all matched. The decomposed body of a young girl was identified Friday as Elizabeth Lynn Barkley. The day the first grader would have been 8 years old. So she was identified on her 8th birthday. Van Zant County Justice of the Peace C.B. Wiley made the ruling Friday morning after an autopsy by Dallas County medical examiners. He said no ruling on the cause of death would be made until investigation of evidence was complete. Farm workers found the decomposed body Thursday morning in a roadside ditch in Van Zant County, about 45 miles east of Dallas. One of the men said animals apparently had strewn some of the bones across the unmarked road since the workers had not seen the scattered remains on the road Wednesday. Dallas Homicide Lieutenant B.G. Maroney said the body was so badly decomposed that the medical examiner, they would need to use teeth. So some of this is repeated from a previous, let's see down here. The children and a neighbor said a husky black man jumped from a black or gray Buick, exposing himself to the children and grabbing Elizabeth. So that means he was, exposing himself. That's pretty crazy. The suspect was described as about 5'10", in his early 30s, and having long sideburns. They should have maybe not put the side. I don't know. That's an easy thing to cut off. If they hadn't mentioned that, it's possible somebody would have kept the sideburns on. But as soon as you put that in the paper, boy, they're going to cut that sucker off. But that might be a clue too, because somebody would have said, "Well, gosh, this guy had sideburns and he cut them off." So it's hard to say. Although the abduction led to the most extensive search in years by Dallas police, Maroney said investigators still have no concrete clues to the suspect. The Barkley family used information from psychics and hypnotists for equally futile searches. No, they're not equally futile. Okay, those are way more futile. They were futile when they were first mentioned. They don't pretend that, equally futile. Okay, now this is another, what was weird is she was mentioned at the end of this article, and here's a case of these 3 girls that are missing.
Cuba check for president.
And this is a kind of a bigger story. You see like tons of videos on these 3 girls on, they're still missing, all 3 of them. They were all 3 together at the same time, and apparently they were abducted, and it's still not solved, and there's tons of videos out there on it. So I just thought I'd put that out there. I don't really like doing ones that every single, like there's 100 videos on, but I might if I look into it and it seems interesting, I might do something, because we usually do a little deeper looking into all the different articles and things like that. Okay, so the reason this came to light is because on the 20th, cold case is reopened just 2 days ago. Reopened for child found dead along rural Van Zant County Road in 1979. So maybe we'll just read this, and it's not much longer than some of these articles, but the Texas Department of... Well, let me show you where I found, based on the articles and the way they were written. So she was actually found. This is where she was walking, right in this area. So I'm going to guess that I'm close to 45 miles if I go to like right here and then out. Yeah, I'm right. Well, that's 50 right there, and that's 49, so it's really close. But apparently it was this town right here, and they actually had this neighbor right here use a metal detector at the crime scene and found 2 bullets that were buried, 2 shell casings, I mean, that were buried. And then they said it was 3 miles south, or her body was found, let's see. No, this lady here, Oda Potts, lived 3 miles north. Let's see, how'd they word that? Because it was, no, south. Okay. Her house, the body was found 3 miles southwest of this lady's house. So I just kind of put it like down in this area, and you can tell how rural this area is. There was no, it was an unnamed road, so they can't tell you. But it was just out in the middle of nowhere. But look at that. The person probably lives over here somewhere, you know, in one of these towns. They were here, drove way out there. I mean, they could live in town, but, you know, it's safer for the killers to drive into a town and then on the way out dump the body and then go somewhere else where they live. So it's just out in the middle of nowhere. So just over 40 years ago, October 23rd, 1979, Barkley was walking with her younger brother and a friend in the 2900 block of West Northwest Highway in Dallas, and that's why I have it, that other pin there, and it's really close to where they lived, right? So and this is where they lived, and then the 2900 blocks right there, so they're heading to a store to get ice cream. That's where they were walking. The trio was approached by a black male who was approximately 30 to 35 years old, driving a dark-colored vehicle with a trunk lid that wouldn't close. So this is new information. Had a trunk lid that wouldn't close. The car stopped, and the male suspect exited the vehicle. Witnesses said the man grabbed Barkley and struck her several times as he carried her back to his car. So now they're putting out more information in this article. In December 1979, Barkley's remains were found on the side of a rural road in Van Zandt County. After a lengthy investigation by the Dallas Police Department, the case stalled. About a year ago, the Texas Rangers reopened the investigation. Anyone with information about the homicide or identity of the offender is urged to come forward. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Isn't that crazy? That's all they put out in this new thing. That's it. Nothing. Okay, there's the part I was looking for right there. So Mrs. Oda Potts of Willis Point. I looked her up, and you know when people live in those small towns, how long do you think they live in the same house? See, that's what always pops into my head. I go, wow, you know, you got someone named Oda Potts living in a small town. She's still living there, and then boom. Yeah, that was, she only had one address, and it's exactly where I put it in. So there's an Oda Potts living in Wills Point. That's exactly where this one is, right here. So that's her house. I mean, hell, we could even just, I bet you that's the same house. No, it's not a house anymore. Wait, was that it? No, it's right there. Well, it's got to be that property, though. Let's see if there's something right here. Well, maybe at one point that was a house, like a little barn or something. Or it's just changed over the years. It's hard to say. It's so long ago, though. And then it said, so about 3 miles, her house is about 3 miles northwest. Oh, wait, so I need to move my thing. I did that wrong. Northwest of where the body was found. So her house is northwest. That means I got to move it the other way a little bit. So it'd be like this, somewhere over here. But again, there's no road that was mentioned or anything. And who knows, even 1995, look at it, little, still has the airport landing strip there. But that's 17 years later as well. Yeah, so there you go. That's it. That's all I got on that one. Is that crazy or what? That maybe if after all these years of reopening it, and basically what they need to do is have, this is a case where there's no DNA because she was so badly decomposed. They just need somebody to say, hey, I heard somebody say they did this. That's it. Okay, now I'm going to be moving to another case here. This is one from 2011. Oh, excuse me, I hit the wrong one. Thanks, Billy Boy Blue. Yeah, that's one of those cases that's going to be almost impossible to solve. And the reason I say that is the killer's probably dead too. And if he didn't say anything to anybody, I mean, he was 35-ish, right? 1978. He'd be 80-something. Yeah, I don't want you talking about the cases or anything like that. You know, let me get through it. All right. Okay, what do we got?
Kit Kat don't know nothing about spooning. She only gives me forks.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the, well, I make posts on YouTube that only members get to see, and then also like a lot of times if there's some cool new information, you guys see it way before anybody else. And then you get the emojis, that kind of, and discounts on merch. Not that you want to buy anything, but I need some new merch pretty soon, though, don't you think? Hey, Yama. Right? Okay. Yeah, I watched it on IDTV for the second time, and it's just such an unusual case. It's a case where you got to keep your mind open, I guess. Sort of helps me out a little bit. Yeah, I like to have my a lot of times sort of my own merchandise idea, because it's not as fun making something that somebody else wants. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna start with this one. Wait, what's this one? Hold on.
Half hour with an arrest. And
oh, that was just okay, so we're gonna go to July 6, 2011, and this is a guy named John Mike Kreitz. Authorities say suspicious circumstances surround the disappearance of a Burnside area man, Lewis and Clark County Sheriff Leo Dutton and John Michael Kreitz, who goes by Mike, was last seen on June 25th. His vehicle, wallet, and cell phone were located at his Turk Road home. Well, there you go. See that every time you find, even with the men, right? If you're missing and all the stuff that you would use to survive is sitting there, something's not right. I'm gonna try to find his address really quick. Yeah, not a lot of people with that name in Montana, I would imagine. Okay, and he said he lives on Turk Road, right? Yeah, there it is. Right there. 6740. So he lives out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, he probably, this whole thing is his property. It was his property. Right there. I'll just say that's it. I guarantee, if there's Street View out here, I'll be shocked. Yeah, no, there isn't. So, lived out in the middle of nowhere in Montana. So leaving those items at home is when they say that makes us suspicious. See, that's why we're suspicious of the same thing every single time. Oh, happy birthday, William Zambrano.
Happy birthday, William Zambrano! Wait, my stomach hurts. Let me try that again. Happy birthday, William Zambrano. Happy birthday, William Zambrano. Happy birthday, William Zambrano. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
There you go. A neighbor reported him missing June 26th, the day after he was last seen. Kreitz is described as having a brown beard, brown hair and eyes, weighing about 185 pounds and standing 5'10". Anyone with information on the Kreitz possible whereabouts is urged to call the sheriff's office. Kreitz, 48, is an avid outdoorsman and has been known to take off for days at a time, according to the sheriff. But he wouldn't take off without all that other stuff. Search and rescue teams will continue searching the area around the home this morning. And then they suspect foul play now, the next day. The Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office continues the search for a 48-year-old Birdseye man who went missing under suspicious circumstances. Foul play is suspected in the disappearance of John Michael Kreitz, who goes by Mike. He was last seen on June 25th. No one has been named as a person of interest, but we have several people we want to talk to. Many circumstances surrounding his disappearance have officials thinking Kreitz may have been the victim of a crime. His vehicle, wallet, and cell phone were all located at his Turk Road home, where the door to his residence was found open and unlocked. In addition, a gate on his property was found to be vandalized, Dutton said. Kreitz, who lives alone, has been part of an ongoing land dispute and has been involved in lawsuits with neighbors regarding access to the land surrounding Turk Road. Search dogs have been used over the last few days to search Kreitz's property. Dutton said 70% of his 80 acres have been checked so far with no findings. The investigation will continue today. Kreitz is described as having a brown beard, brown hair, and eyes, weighing 185 pounds and standing 5'10". Okay, then 5 months later, actually let me do this. John Mike Kreitz had a gentle heart and twitchy trigger finger. Kreitz, 48, was in your face kind of man if he didn't like what you're doing, and that included crossing his property. Standing 5'10" and weighing close to 200 pounds, he looked every bit of a mountain man he was. The home he built near the end of Turk Road, northwest of Helena, had no running water or electricity, and has been described as something out of the TV show Hoarders, with a few dishes, but hundreds of antlers and stuffed animals, mounts on the walls and in every corner. Yet under the gruff exterior, Kreitz also was known as a gentle soul who loved wild places. He was an avid trophy elk and deer hunter who once cried over an injured fawn. he couldn't help and would live trap chipmunks indoors and set them free outside. He meticulously cared for his 4 wolf hybrid dogs and treated his 80-acre parcel as a botanical garden where he spent hours pulling weeds. Kreitz was an industrial sheet metal worker. And let's see what we got. I don't know if this is it right here. But the sisters say he wasn't a fan of the 9-to-5 lifestyle. For years, he saved and prepared for a move from Colorado to Montana, where he could live off the grid in the wilderness he loved. It was a dream with a nightmarish ending. Chris Forsyth was Kreitz's best friend. Late in the evening on June 24th, 2011, they were at Kreitz's home when Kreitz made an odd statement. He said, "Chris, they're going to kill me." Forsyth recalled. He was distraught. Forsyth understood that Kreitz was concerned about disputes in the neighborhood. 2 days later, Kreitz was reported missing. His beloved wolf-dog hybrids dogs had been set loose, and his wallet and car keys were found on the table. "I know that I'm the last person to see him alive," Forsyth said. Well, how do you know that? See, people shouldn't make that statement. You should say, "I'm the last known person." Kreitz's remains were found on McDonald Pass 4 months ago. So his remains were found. I guess I didn't have that article in there. But his remains were found on McDonald Pass. Let's see if we can see where that is. Ah, Jesus. Oh, there it is. Wow, that's way far away. Yeah, they have a whole series on IDTV about neighbors, shit like that. Don't get along. Let me just see how many miles this is. Yeah, well, it's only 11 miles, so it's not too bad. Huh. Let's see. Gloria and Mark Flora lived on a property next to Kreitz for more than a decade. Gloria Flora, well known as the former Lewis and Clark National Forest supervisor, said Kreitz was an honest, good man. He was hard to get along with, and he didn't like authority figures, but he was a fine neighbor, she said. When he picked some huckleberries or mushrooms, he'd share them with us. He didn't bother you, but loved to talk, and if he needed anything, he was there. If we needed anything, he'd be there. Forsyth and Flora added that Kreitz was an intelligent man. He had an IQ of 150 or so. He talked over your head a lot, Forsyth said. His intelligence intimidated people. He was not an outcast, but just needed particular friends. Others paint a less generous picture. Dennis Shaw, who also lived on the Turk Road neighborhood, said Kreitz's friends, said Kreitz tried to cut off access, to public lands as well as private lands beyond his property. I've been dealing with that asshole for almost 20 years, Shaw said. Yeah, here's the thing, everybody. If you buy property, and even if it's sort of in your rights, but other people have been sort of using as an easement for years and years, try to allow them to kind of keep way off on the edge somewhere where they can still use it, because you just look like a clown when you do that shit. You know, it's like, you know, now they can't do any of the stuff that they used to do. You think that's being a good neighbor? Just say, hey, yeah, go ahead, everybody. It's crazy. I can't stand people that do that. It's just so greedy. You know, it's like, ooh, now it's mine, so Get the hell off my, there's some place way over there, 80 acres. You're going to walk through it so you can go fishing somewhere. Who gives a shit? Okay? If everybody would do that, it would be a lot more fun world. Everybody gates everything up. And I mean, I'm okay, if you have a piece of property, but when you own like 2,000 acres or 100 acres or something, and you're just sort of, yeah, it just blows. Especially when people have been living there for years prior to that. All right, so there's some stuff in 2002. Mike Ottman, a FWP game warden sergeant, talked to Kreitz about his pet wolf hybrids that weren't tattooed as required by law if they were more than 50% wolf. Kreitz said he didn't know their lineage, but paperwork that was found later at his home showed he bought them from a woman in Seeley Lake, and they were 87% wolf. In 2005, Kreitz was charged with criminal trespass on the Beartooth game range. Wow. So you did it, but you got pissed when everybody else did it? Beartooth game range for accessing the property before it opened to the public. He was gathering shed elk antlers and was convicted after a jury trial. Also in 2005, he was sued and lost over easements to lots farther up the road that went past his home. Kreitz was ordered... See, now he's trying to get access to other properties. Kreitz was ordered to pay the realtor $3,000 in damages for lost interest on the sale of 2 lots and was ordered to stay away from the property. Anyways, yeah, so he had problems with the law. And then there was somebody that... I guess there was some evidence tampering in that case. A judge lowered the bond Thursday morning for Birdseye area man accused of tampering with surveillance cameras being used in a murder investigation. John Raymond Mahan's bond, which he has posted, was initially $250,000 and lowered to $50,000. So somebody's out there messing around. In 2014... Family is offering $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest. Kreitz's former garden is tangled maze of weeds and brush, and the array of native grasses he planted in the yard have grown taller than the wheel wells of the pickup truck still parked out front. That's 2014. And I guess that's his house right there. Let's see if we can tell if that's the one. Yeah, I bet that's it. See that part right there? I think that might be this part. It's just filmed from another direction. And then this lower part is that right there. And it's really the only house around there on that property, so. Yeah. And then 2016. So I guess in that area it's a pretty big story. Kreitz murder case remains a mystery. A wooded area outside of town seems like a likely place for a murderer to stash remains, but wandering in the area on McDonald Pass, where parts of John Mike Kreitz were found 5 years ago, one can't help but notice the swishing sound of traffic from Highway 12 close enough to hear the bass from passing vehicle stereos. And then there are the gunshot reverberating from the shooting range across the roadway. Okay, let's see if we can see where that is. Then we can get a better... So that is Highway 12. Okay, and there's the shooting range, so it's right there. So it's probably like right over here is where maybe he was found. It's close though, right? The 2 trash bags containing what were described as Kreitz's bones were only semi-buried. The area where they were found in October 2011, 4 months after Kreitz disappeared, is rocky and difficult terrain in which to dig. When there are so many secluded areas of the roughly 25 miles between McDonald Pass and Kreitz Turk Road neighborhood northwest of Helena, why would the killer choose to take some of his remains here? 5 years later, investigators are still seeking answers to that question. Was the placement meant as a taunt? Was it methodical or just sloppy? Considering the amount of time that has passed, the victim's sister, Connie Kreitz, admits sometimes conceding to feelings of despair, thinking the case will never get resolved. I would never have imagined that more than 5 years later, we'd still be fighting this case, she said. And in 2019, court rules against releasing files in the 2011 killing. They wouldn't give it to family members. They wanted to have, you know, like, hey, it's a cold case, can we have the files? And they wouldn't do it because they were still looking into it. And then, there we go.
Half hour with an arrest in the 2011 death of John Mike Kreitz near Helena.
Yesterday.
Lewis and Clark County Sheriff Leo Dutton says Leon Michael Ford was arrested Wednesday in Oak Harbor, Washington. He's being charged with deliberate homicide and tampering with evidence. Kreitz went missing in June of 2011. His dismembered remains were discovered near McDonald Pass months later. Kreitz lived in the Turk Road area north of Birdseye. Dutton said Ford owned a nearby property. While the investigation took years to reach this point,
it was one of his neighbors.
Dutton says he never considered the case cold.
I bet you they even interviewed.
We never gave up. We continued to work leads. We continued to work where we had evidence, and there's been a lot of people, a lot of cooperation to make this happen today.
Ford is set to be arraigned in a Washington state court this afternoon. Dutton said they will seek to bring him back in the coming days to face charges in Lewis and Clark County.
There's nothing like...
Yeah, so it's right there. Leon Michael Ford has been arrested and is facing charges for murder of John Michael Kreitz. John Kreitz's body was discovered dismembered near McDonald Pass in June 2011. Sheriff Dutton said that Ford is facing charges of deliberate homicide and tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. According to Dutton, Ford is accused of purposely or knowingly causing Kreitz's death on or around June 26th. Kreitz had been involved in property disputes with several of his neighbors. It's gratifying to call the family and tell them an arrest has been made. So boom, that's one of the ones that just got solved right there. It actually sounded familiar, like I've heard of this case before, but I didn't remember it. I'd like to know what the actual reasoning for it was. Yes, and as Kit Kat would say, just say no to the lags. Just pretend I'm a cup of coffee. Then we can get back up to where we were last month. Yep. Justice. Okay, now the final one we're going to talk about now is the one that I was just watching on IDTV. But I found it so, like, if you were just to read the newspaper article, let's see, anybody who's heard of the story, do not comment in there like you're, oh, I'm a psychic, I know what happened, you know. It just blows when you guys do that shit, okay? So when I read these first articles, I'm going to ask you guys what you think might be going on here. And then when you see what's going on at the end, you'll just be like, wow, that's crazy. So that means you, Emily, or I don't remember who it was now that said that they... Yeah, it does. It just blows when people just like to be the know-it-all in there, so they throw out the shit, but when you're talking about it, like, oh, I already knew about this one, everybody. Watch this. I was... Blows. Yes. So, I am a Starbucks coffee. That's it, man. Just like Kevin Brown and Zozo. Okay? If I'm going to do like 2-3 hour shows, I think I'm worth a cup of coffee. Minimum, right? Don't you think? What's amazing, if we could get every single person who's in the show watching to do that, we'd be able to donate like $5,000 every month. Claudia Neubauer and Susie B. Yep, see, there you go. That's right. Caramel macchiato. See, now I bring up that stuff because we've got standards to keep up with now. I used to not really bring it up too much, but yeah, I'm just letting you guys know, okay? Because it's not up to me. Don't know what happened. Well, thanks, Dadio, Caspian Horses Rock, Christina Kubicek, Carolina T, and Zozo. I need a double Jack and Coke. It's weird how this wound, it just starts stinging, and then it stops stinging, but it feels like a bee stinging you. And then it just goes away, like, all by itself.
Thanks.
No problem. And thank you, Susanna Macgiola Padre. So here we go. This is how the newspaper was reporting this right off the bat here. She went missing on New Year's Eve.
I don't know what happened.
Took me forever to find the hotel. I found this one Google search that helped me do it. It was crazy. I typed in this long phrase and bam, there it was. Thanks, Sarita. What does it have to do with anything, William? Weird that's mentioned. Before I came here, I was watching a hornet's nest being exterminated. Because that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, here we go.
You're a double Jack and Coke Bay.
So, she works at a hotel. She's a student, a singer at a college, but it says right here, what is believed to be the body of Holland? Okay, her name is, in Holland, excuse me. Her name is Janet Chandler, okay? What is believed to be the body of a Holland motel clerk, apparently abducted in an early Wednesday morning robbery, was found in a snowbank south of here early today, according to police. Police said that relatives of the missing clerk, 23-year-old Janet Chandler, a Hope College co-ed, had not made a positive identification by 10 a.m. today, but based upon photos of the body, it's believed to be that of the missing clerk. There have been no arrests in connection with the robbery or the body, but police are searching for a white and green Jimmy, a four-wheel drive vehicle reported stolen Tuesday near St. Joseph. Police said it bears the license plates HYN 574. Holland police have said they believe it was a four-wheel drive vehicle that was used by whoever robbed the Blue Mill Inn in Holland. So, I mean, look, it took me absolutely forever to find the hotel because it's not listed as a hotel anymore. And this is in Michigan. Okay, so it was, let's see, where the hell was it? That's the college she went to, the College of Hope, or Hope College there. And then she worked right here And it used to be, it now was an Economy Inn, but it was closed down. Hey, thanks, Social Liars. So this is definitely it. It took me forever, but it's not even listed as a local hotel anymore for some reason. And it used to be called the Blue Mill Inn. And if you go down here, you can see it right there.
Espresso double.
And here it is back in the day. Blue Mill Inn. See the little brick wall right there? And another brick wall with that little opening, and then the signs right there, and this little... It's the same one, watch. See, there's the brick, the opening, the brick. This going along. It's just updated. It says Economy Inn there. This is 2018, so maybe it's back open again, but it's not listed. If you typed in hotels or motels, it doesn't show up as one on Google Earth. So anyways, that's where she worked right there at the time. Yeah, and here was the original story. A 23-year-old woman who attends Hope College here was abducted early Wednesday during a robbery at Blue Mill Inn, where she worked as a night clerk. Janet Chandler, a senior music student at Hope, vanished after the 2 a.m. robbery, in which $500 was taken from the safe at the motel on US 31. She was apparently abducted while talking on the phone to a security guard staying as a guest at the motel. And then that very same security guard, guest, that was staying at the hotel, he's the one who overheard it, he claims, and made this call here. Let me get it open.
79, the night of Janet's murder. Just after 2 a.m., police received a call from the motel where Janet worked, the Blue Mill Inn.
I have reason to believe that there might be a robbery in progress down in the office or the lobby.
Holland Police Detective...
That was it. Made a 911 call. I believe there's a robbery down in the lobby. Yeah. So, let's see, where is this? Oh, I got to get my music back up. I always feel weird without it. It's like my Linus blanket. Abducted, and $500 was taken. And the safe was kind of cracked open and stuff was on the ground. We're set up, let's see. A Michigan State Police helicopter was used on Wednesday. So this is right before, she hadn't even been found yet. But the same day, there's an article where she was found. Nelson said he was in his room talking to Miss Chandler on the phone when she interrupted and said, "Just a minute." He then heard her tell someone who spoke with a deep male voice not to take all the money. Nelson said he went to another guard's room and tried to call the front desk again. When there was no answer, he called police. Police found the telephone in the office off the hook, an open safe with $500 missing, and no sign of Miss Chandler. Okay, and then we just showed you how she was found in that previous article. And then on the third, special task force is formed to hunt slayer of Hope Co-ed. A special task force of Western Michigan law enforcement agencies was set up Friday, and a $1,000 reward was offered as investigators stepped up their hunt for the killer of Hope College music student Janet Chandler. Hey, thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, there you go. For the latte. We've got every available officer working on the case, said Sergeant Keith Howning. Miss Chandler's nude body was found by a snowplow driving at 1:30 a.m. Thursday on a wooded median of the I-196
This is for the latte.
near
I
South
ordered
Haven.
that DIDNT taste right. Got another one and then realized it was me not tasting right.
Well, there you go. Right, so they found her nude body, and I think I found the location. It took me a long time as well to do this. Let me show you. I really think I've got it, though. I had it close, and then sort of had to... Like, first I thought maybe it was up near this area, and then I thought maybe it was down right there. But as you can see, they say it's between the north and southbound lanes. Well, look at this. Ah, shit. If you go over here, up here, there's no land really between the north-southbound lane with woods, right? So if you go down further, and it says it's kind of in this area anyways on their description, I think this is it right here. So whoever it was, the snowplow guy, pulled in, and then he saw these footprints leading off. He just went over there to turn around or do something, and then he saw these footprints. Look at it. Look what he saw here, leading off into the woods. And so he thought it was weird, so he went back there and he found her body, and then he called police, and they came out here. And this is what it looks like. That's what it looked like to me. And that's what there's a video that's out there, a documentary that was made in 2005, or 2003 it was made actually, or the project started, and I think 2004 was released, and I think it was right on this little turnabout. It's pretty cool because you can be driving and then go, oh shit, I went the wrong way, and come back and go the other direction. It's probably mainly for the snow plows and things like that, but let's see. Police believe her slayer may be the same man who tried to abduct a 20-year-old female clerk as she left a Holland liquor store 3 miles from the motel less than an hour before Miss Chandler was abducted. Police were also looking for a green and white 4-wheel drive vehicle that may have been used by Miss Chandler's killer. Okay, then another, that image I just showed you is from the same day in the paper. That's the hotel she worked at. And 3 days later, this is kind of a predictive article from 1979. It's pretty amazing. Was abduction real motive of the motel holdup? Since 500 was taken, they're wondering if it wasn't just the abduction part of it. Police said Monday they were investigating the possibility a Hope College music student was the target of a kidnapping last week, and a robbery at the motel where she worked was merely incidental. So part of that isn't correct, but you'll see this all later. The kidnap slang was the second in the area within 5 months. Keith Hoding, a spokesman for the Holland Police Department, said the kidnap theory was one of several offered by police in the kidnap slang of Janet M. Chandler, 23, of Muskegon Heights. She was kidnapped early Wednesday, strangled later in the day, and then her nude body. So look how crazy this is. She was kidnapped really early in the morning, and then she was strangled later in the day. She wasn't killed very long before the trucker found her. So she was alive. She was kidnapped early Wednesday, strangled later in the day, and then her nude body was dumped along a heavily wooded highway median strip 5 miles south of South Haven, where it was found by snowplow driver. So let's see how close we have it to 5 miles south of South Haven. Okay, there's South Haven. I just want to see if it's reasonably close. So they have it kind of, I have it at 7.7. But who knows where they measure it from. It could be the edge of town, and then we're right on the money there. And the thing is, there's nothing else works. See how the highway's close to each other the whole time? And it's still in the same, it looks the same now as it did back then. It's not like they changed the highway. About $500 was taken from the safe at the Blue Mill Inn, where she had worked since August as a desk clerk. When police arrived at the scene, they found the unusually locked motel office door open. Or excuse me, the usually locked hotel. We have received many tips, Hoding said, but it's too early to tell if any will pay off. So, you know, they're kind of questioning the motive, and then that's kind of it right there, right? I mean, that literally is that's kind of how the stories were, and then it just sort of disappeared from the media. So what do you guys think if you were going to type in a theory at this point? What would you think? I wonder if this case has ever been solved. Tammy Lee Pirro. There's another one down there. Let's see. I'm waiting for you guys to type in stuff. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I just told, see, Rebecca just went and did exactly what I told everybody not to do, you know, so. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and, nobody would just guess something like that. Right. I didn't mean to. I was meant to just remove the comment, but she's back in there now. Good job, Rebecca. Way to give away the story. There's no way you just... Yeah, come on. There's no way you would just guess something like that. Yeah, you would have no idea, because you didn't even know that there was multiple... All there is the one person. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to this part right here. Okay. Well, I'll just read this part here. See, the thing is, they made it after all those years. What was going on at the hotel at the time was there was a whole bunch of security guards in there living at the hotel they were all hired to live at the hotel for some kind of a strike that they were having. And then there was like a strike or something in town or some kind of labor dispute, and they were just security guards. And they were all staying there. And, but I mean, it's unreal, really. Oh, good. You didn't see it. Okay, cool. Yeah, because nobody would just guess, because I didn't even mention that there was anybody other than that person. Right. So to say they were all in on it, like, what do you mean? Who's all? I hadn't even mentioned that yet. No, you couldn't have done that, Rebecca. Couldn't have done that. Okay, because there's no information to do that unless you're going to start your own psychic channel. I don't believe it. There's just no chance. So, anyways, let me try to find. Is it this one? I'll just read these. They kind of describe everything. A court affidavit said a Hope College student slain in 1979 was taken to a house by security guards who told her they were taking her to a surprise party. So here's the thing: is she was like this college student that was working. She was really religious and sang, but she sort of changed quite a bit and actually started having sex with multiple people at that hotel that were in this security guard group. Okay? So that's what they were having. I don't believe that you could come up with that they were all in on it together from nothing that I said. There was nothing. I left all that stuff out intentionally. Yeah. So I don't believe. You might want to believe it. I just... Because how is that possible? Who's there all in on it together? Yeah, so, I mean, it does end up turning out that even the money that was taken from the safe was given to this woman to make it look like there was a robbery. And then they took her, blindfolded her, and took her. Yeah, you could be telling the truth. I just don't believe it. Okay? Nope, I'm not going to search your browser. You could totally be telling the truth. I just don't believe it. Authorities on Wednesday announced the arrest of Robert M. Lynch, 66, of 14067 Prairie Road, Chikaming Township, on a charge of first-degree murder and 2 counts of felony murder in the case. Police said several more men may have been involved, according to a story in the Holland Sentinel. Lynch has been jailed without bond pending a preliminary hearing in Holland District Court on February... Actually, how about this? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? I just think you'd almost have to be a psychic to realize that there was a whole bunch of people that were in on it together, you know? I hadn't even mentioned anybody else yet. I just said that there was a robbery and her body was found. Like, she was abducted and then her body was found, and that should have been like, oh, wow, that's weird. So somebody abducted her and held her against her will, then killed her later. That's it. There was no other people mentioned, nothing. So I'm telling you, you should start your own psychic network. I won't use it. In the affidavit, Michigan State Police Detective David Van Lopik said Lynch told Janet Chandler, 23, that they were going to a surprise party for her. The Sentinel said Chandler, a native of Muskegon, was a desk clerk at the Blue Mill Inn on US 31 where Lynch was staying. Lynch was a Wackenhut Security Corp temporary employee patrolling the strike-bound Chemtron Corporation in Holland Township. Van Lopik testified that several people, including Wackenhut guards, planned the party at a house near Chemtron used by security staff. Part of the plans were to take Janet Chandler. See, the thing is, the leader of their little group was pissed off at it. Yeah, he was really pissed at her because she slept with him, and then she started sleeping with other people and dancing and making everybody jealous, you know, at this testosterone-filled hotel of just security cops with guns. Right? Van Lopik testified that several people, including Wackenhut guards, planned the party at a near Chemtron, and they went in there and they put a blindfold on her and said, "Hey, we're taking you to a surprise party," and she was all excited to do it. And then she got in the car with them, and let's see, Lynch and the other security guards that evening, they then blindfolded her and taped her mouth and escorted her to a waiting vehicle. Van Lopik said they drove to the house near Chemtron. Lynch and several security guards stripped and sexually assaulted Chandler after different individuals placed a belt around Janet Chandler's neck and were pulling on the belt, he said. Detectives on Wednesday said Lynch was the one who killed Chandler. Lynch checked her for a pulse, found none, and told the other security guards and a strike coordinator that she was dead. Van Lopik told the judge. So there's all these people that she was just used as a sexual object for this whole party. They just kept going in and out of the room. You know, it was just... Lynch took Chandler's body to a wooded area of a turnaround on Interstate 196 in Covert Township. A snowplow driver found her body. Michigan State Police Lieutenant Slank I mean, it's amazing how quickly and how miraculous it is that they found her body, though. Michigan State Police Lieutenant John Slank, and it was only because of the snow and that kind of thing. He was arrested Tuesday at the Michigan State Police Post in Bridgman. A Hope College documentary film on Chandler's death aired in January 2004 and drew out more witnesses. So isn't that cool? They actually did the college did a documentary on it, and the police gave them a lot of the information and photos and stuff, and then it renewed the case, and that's what led to all this. 6 nabbed in murder of hotel clerk. More than a quarter of a century, the brutal sex slaying of Hope College student Janet Chandler baffled law enforcement officials. As the case grew colder, with each passing year, it was becoming less likely that whoever was responsible would be brought to justice. Then a few years ago, a film class at Hope produced a documentary about the unsolved mystery and sparked new interest in the case after the film aired on a Grand Rapids television station in January 2004. Investigators started getting tips again. Following up on the new information, they arrested Robert Lynch, 66, of 3 Oaks. And here's the thing is, the people that were security guards, after she went missing, the dispute, the strike got settled and they all just left. So that's what made it so much harder for the police. Let's see. It's always been a mission of all parties involved. Let me go down here. Authorities said Janet Chandler was working her job as a clerk at the Blue Mill Inn on January 31st, 1979, when she was kidnapped by 6 suspects and taken to a house where she was beaten, raped, and strangled. A snowplow driver discovered her body a day later, about 35 miles south of Holland, in a wooded turnaround on Interstate 196. Cox identified those arrested this week as James Cleophas, Arthur Carlton, goes through the names here. And there's Lori Ann Swank. See, Lori Ann Swank was a good friend of Janet, who then started hating Janet because Janet was pretty and all the guys were giving her attention. So she wanted to get Janet out of the way so she could be with the other person. You see what I'm saying? Like, the original story sounds like some wacko person comes in there. She's the actual object, probably, because she's been abducted. And it just seems like a guy that abducted her late at night and strangled her and then dumped her body after abusing her for hours, right? But now you got this entire massive, plot of all these people that were involved in it. And they were taking pictures, too, during this. And at the end, one of the guys grabbed the camera and he used that over the heads of all these people all these years so they wouldn't speak. And look, I think that's there it is right there. That's the part I was just talking about. A Muskegon man who is one of 6 people recently charged in the 1979 slaying of a hotel clerk allegedly kept witnesses silent for years by saving incriminating photographs taken at a house where the killing happened. The photos depict other people using a belt to choke the victim. Janet Chandler, the Grand Rapids Press reported Friday. What was the point of that, though? It's just all of them were choking her. Chandler of Muskegon was a 23-year-old Hope College student who worked nights at the former Blue Mill Inn when security guards were staying at the hotel abducted her January 31st. Investigators said they think the guards hired to patrol a local labor strike told Chandler they were taking her to a party when they bound her and handcuffed and took her from the inn. She was taken instead to a house in Ottawa County, Holland Township, where she was beaten, raped, and strangled. 15 to 20 people were present at the time, police said. A snowplow driver discovered her body a day later about 35 miles south of Holland in a snowbank. 5 men, all former guards, and a woman who was the hotel's night manager, each have been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. 2 of the male suspects are from Michigan, 2 are from West Virginia, and 1 is from Wisconsin. One of them's from Cairo's town. He's got a lot of weird shit going on over there. Court documents say one of the 5 ex-guards charged, Arthur Carlton, 54 of Muskegon, used the photos, which were taken by another guard, to blackmail witnesses into keeping silent. This is how Pava was able to keep everyone from talking about the incident for so many years. When detectives searched Pava's home in September 2005, they said they found a video cassette of the 2004 Hope College documentary, Who Killed Janet Chandler, and handwritten notes on the police investigation. Pava has denied having anything to do with the crime. Yeah, of course you have. And this is the Lynch guy. This guy here is the one who killed her. A Chikaming Township man scheduled to go on trial next month on in the 1979 slaying of a Hope College student working as a hotel clerk, pleaded guilty Monday to a charge of a second-degree murder. Robert Lynch, 67, of 14067 Prairie Road, Three Oaks, was one of 6 defendants accused of taking part in the brutal killing of 23-year-old Janet Chandler of Muskegon. He was the first of the 6 whose case has been resolved. The other defendants, we've mentioned them, like the other 5 suspects, Lynch originally was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, a charge that carries a mandatory sentence of life in prison with no possibility of parole if convicted. His trial has been scheduled to begin January 9th. Yeah, we already know that part there. Okay, so what's coming up next? I'm going to ask Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca, what's next? What's next? That's just a crazy story, right? So this is the friend, quote, friend, Swank right here. This guy, Pava, he's sort of the leader of all of them. He kind of ran the show. And then, she sort of flirted with these other guys here, and they all wanted payback too. Oh, come on, you do too, Rebecca. I'm going to start calling you our local psychic. Because you said they were all in on it together. And I'm like, who's all? We hadn't even mentioned all yet. So, man, you might open up your own firm. Let's see. So I'm going to read this article because it's her detailing kind of what she did. So I haven't read it yet, but I watched the show on IDTV. It's pretty crazy. A woman charged in the brutal 1979 slaying of a Hope College student working as a hotel clerk testified Thursday about setting up. She's the one that, she's almost the most despicable of them all. She testified Thursday about setting up a gathering where the killing took place. Lori Ann Swank of Nescopic, Pennsylvania, testified after waiving her preliminary hearing in the death of 23-year-old Janet Chandler of Muskegon, whose body was found in Covert Township. She said she expected to plead to second-degree murder with a potential of 10 to 20 year sentence. Swank, who was Chandler's supervisor at the Blue Mill Inn, was among 6 people charged with first-degree murder, a charge that carries a mandatory sentence of life in prison with no possibility of parole if convicted. I like that they have that in that state instead of having 25 years sometime. One of those charged, Robert Lynch, 67, of Three Oaks pleaded guilty in December to second-degree murder. Yeah, so that's the thing is Lynch, the guy that actually ended up killing her, he got 25 years to life at a sentencing hearing scheduled for Monday. On Thursday, in Holland's District Court, Arthur Carl Pava, 54, of Muskegon, James Cleophas Bubba Nelson, 55, of Rand, West Virginia, and Anthony Eugene Williams, 55, of Boscobel, Wisconsin, were ordered to stand trial in the case. Pava, Nelson, Williams, and Swank all are expected to appear January 29th. Swank, who is in her late 40s, testified that she had feelings for Pava. So Swank right here, just like the show said on IDTV, she liked this Pava guy here. But Pava was having sex with Chandler, but then sort of dumped him and started seeing somebody else, so then he was pissed off. But she thought, if I get rid of her, I can be with him. You know, the classic bullshit. Thanks, Dadio Caspi Nurses Rod. Is it your birthday too? Or is that just a piece of cake for me to eat? Nah, but the thing is, Rebecca, there wasn't anything in there that would have made you guess that. Doesn't matter what your IQ is, doesn't matter anything. You know? And nobody cares what your IQ is. I always hate when people type their IQ in as if, oh my God, it's 137, my God, you're... Yeah, nobody cares. I'm just telling you, I didn't give enough information to have anybody say they were all in on it together. There was just one person mentioned at one point. That's what I'm trying to tell you. No, I'm sure mine is 136, just below yours, you know. Oh, yours is 578,000? Wow. $1 million, Zozo? I don't know what my IQ is, okay? I think it's weird when people want to, you know. Wow, I'm a member of Mensa, everybody. Wow, that means you're dumb. Who the hell would join that shithole group? All right, here we go. Pava vowed to take care of Chandler, Swank said. So the guy that she was interested in said, hey, I'll take care of her. They were going to pass her around, Swank said. They were going to be putting her in her place, so to speak, because she thought a lot of herself. Bring her down a few notches. Teach her a lesson. Swank said she attended the gathering and watched the attack on Chandler. Freddie Bass Parker, 49, of Powelton, West Virginia, is fighting extradition to Michigan, saying he was not in that state when Chandler was killed. A hearing for Parker in West Virginia is set for February 7th. The men were working as security guards at the time and were in Holland because they were on assignment at a local labor strike. Yeah, so we already have the rest of that. So the killer here, he was sentenced to 25 to 40 years. A Three Oaks man charged in the brutal 1979 slaying of Hope College student working as a hotel clerk was sentenced to 25 years to 40 on Monday. The parents of the victim, 23-year-old Janet Chandler of Muskegon, addressed Lynch for the first time. You, Mr. Lynch, took her life, but you never took her soul. Okay, let me see. I think there was another trial here. Woman gets prison time in Holland. A woman who was part of the group that killed Hope College student in 1979 has been sentenced to at least 10 years in prison. See, I think she's one of the highest. She should have been like 25 to 50. Because she's the one that told everybody, hey, look at, she's sleeping around on you. She's the one that told the guy that she likes. So She planted all this information and put everything in motion. Come on, Rebecca. Jeez. Nah, that's crazy. Not sure what you're... My God. Yeah, so she was the one that... so she got 10 years, but she's the one that put it in everybody's mind that she was sleeping around. She created this hostile sort of mentality of everybody and got the ball rolling. She's the mastermind from it. No, they're not all, Rebecca. I mean, Mensa people are, yeah. So I don't know what you're referring to. But let's just drop that whole line, okay? I was just telling you what I was thinking a minute ago. I think, when people say I'm a member of Mensa, I immediately think of them as an idiot because they need to tell everybody. And what do those people do? Sit around and think? I mean, it's like, give me a break, everybody. Chandler was kidnapped, raped, tortured, and strangled at age 22. Swank and another man pleaded guilty to charges of second-degree murder in exchange for their testimony against 4 other men who ended up being convicted of first-degree murder. So 4 other people got life without parole in this case. Ottawa County Circuit Judge Edward Post sentenced Swank to spend the next 10 to 20 years in prison. So that means after 10, she's eligible for parole. See, that just seems so bogus. She was the one that masterminded the whole damn thing. Look at this. What's the story right here? Police say an 8-year-old boy accidentally... Oh, it's an accident. Okay, that's her right there, by the way. So she's obviously a lot better looking than that other lady. So she got upset about it. I'm trying to find, there was one article. Yeah, so here's a link. I put these links in the description. And you can actually get the documentary that these kids made on it. These students here. And it's pretty, it's crazy, really. It's one of the, I just thought I'd bring it up tonight because it's one of those ones where it was way more than you would have thought it would have been. Right? I mean, this entire hotel of security guards, and, people thought of her as a very religious person, singing, and I think she was, but all these guys gave her a lot of attention because she's very pretty, and then she just started doing things she wasn't normally going to do, and then she got interested in all these different guys, created all these different love triangle situations, and then all this anger. Then they set up this huge ruse where they went in there, well, actually her boss, the other lady we were just talking about, she was young too. She was interested in one of the guys she was sleeping with. So then she came up and started telling all of them how she's seeing these other guys. And so they came up with a plan to blindfold her and duct tape her and take her to a party where there was 15 people there and a bunch of guys, and they would all go in and take turns raping her and choking her with a belt. And apparently one of them went too far. I don't think that they were actually going to kill her, though. I don't think. I mean, well, they must have, actually. I mean, what were they going to do? Let her go and have her tell people? But there was, if you watch the documentary and some of the information, it seems like it was like, oh, wow, like they freaked out. Kind of. Anyway, so she died. And, they just all left. They were all security guards staying at a hotel for a strike that was in town. They were interviewed originally, then they left, and the case was just cold for a long time. Then they reopened it, and the investigator said, we need to go back and talk to every single one of those people that was a security guard in that hotel. And after talking with Lynch for like 3 months, like they were friends, he eventually gave up the truth. Yeah. So the documentary, I know you can, I don't know if you can just watch it on like Amazon or something, but you can, it's a link in the description. See, right here, this is a good way to say it. Janet Chandler's double life meant it took cops 30 years to solve her murder. Yeah. Because they were looking at her like she was just this really, you know, like church-going, wholesome. So nothing else made sense, right? Yeah, that's her hand in the... That's an actual crime scene photo right there. These are the thousands of cold cases waiting for a glimmer of light. Let's see. During the past week, detectives have made arrests in homicides that are 40, 30, and 20 years old. If you have murdered someone, know this. The case is not closed. For more than 30 years, the small town of Holland, Michigan, was haunted by the brutal slaying of a young hotel clerk. The body of Janet Chandler, 22, a music student from a conservative Christian family, was discovered naked by a snowplow driver on February 1st, 1979. Chandler, who sang in the choir and worked as a night clerk at the Blue Mill Inn, had been reported missing the day before. She had been raped and strangled. Detectives hit the ground running, interviewing hundreds of friends, neighbors, acquaintances, co-workers, and guests at the inn. But with more than 1,000 pages of case notes, they soon hit a dead end, and the Janet Chandler murder went ice cold, just like the evening she was found. And there's Lori Swank, you know. She was easygoing and happy-go-lucky, and she lived a sheltered lifestyle. We are Christians, and she was brought up in the church, and all her friends were friends from church. Every time her girlfriend would get married, we'd go to the wedding. In 1979, Holland was being ripped apart by a brutal strike at the Chemtron paint plant. On one side of Teamsters and the other side was Wackenut Security Company, who brought in guards and strike breakers. Ground zero for strike breakers and security was the Blue Mill Inn, about 80 men and women in all. So that's Janet Chandler, you know, just with her glasses on and so forth. A film class at Muskegon Community College decided to make a documentary about the unsolved murder. What the young filmmakers discovered was a sordid world that clean-living Christian girl Janet fell into and embraced. So I wonder why that didn't lead police, since they already had those in the notes, why that didn't make them go, I wonder if there's more to this. After the sickening murder, she left town and had fallen off the... Well, let me get down here. Enter Lori Ann Swank, who was 21 at the time and Janet's boss at the Blue Mill. After the sickening murder, she left town and had fallen off the face of the earth. Michigan State Police Detective David Van Lepick and 3 other detectives began going over the case line by line, determined to get justice for Janet. There was the Janet Chandler that her parents knew and the one who was away from their influence. Detectives finally found the elusive Lori Ann Swank in Pennsylvania, where she was working as a nursing assistant. When they flashed a long-age photo of Janet at the hard-partying security guards, Swank became quiet. It was a man named Robert Michael Lynch who broke things open. Lynch wasn't a part of the party crowd. He was older and since that day had kept his nose clean despite a serious drinking problem. In June 2005, Lynch dropped a bombshell. Yes, he and Janet had been sexually involved, and there was something else. On the night of the murder, he was at a party with other guards, and things went haywire. Later, Lynch admitted he regretted his whole life. Detectives slipped the student's documentary, Who Killed Janet Chandler, into a DVD machine. Van Lopik said the troubled killer, you have a daughter Janet's age, if she were killed, wouldn't you want to know what happened to her? That's what the detective said to Lynch. Lynch broke and revealed what he knew about the murder of Janet Chandler. The Blue Mill, Lynch told cops, was a veritable swingers club, and Janet was the center of it. At one point, Janet called the guard's room and asked him to come to the front desk. When he responded, she was waiting in the adjacent showroom, naked, except for a pair of cowboy boots. Laurie Swank wanted her dead. A pal told her that Janet had had sex with the main guard, Arthur Carl Pava, the guy with the mustache, Swank's boyfriend. And so the evil web was spun that would end with a young woman's murder. They would lure Janet to a surprise party where she was going to be gangbanged and passed around to teach her a lesson. Lynch told cops he was asked to lure the pretty brunette to the party. They taped gauze over her eyes, a party game she thought. Instead, she was sexually ravaged. When he finished work, he went to the house where Janet Chandler was being honored, with quotes around it. Hey, thanks, Linda Howe. Yeah, this is a brutal story, right? Oh, you guys talking about something else? Okay. Let's see. Let me keep going here. That's not much longer here. Lynch told cops he was asked to lure the pretty brunette to the party. They taped gauze over her eyes, a party game she thought. Instead, she was sexually ravaged. When he finished work, he went to the house where Janet Chandler...
Just because you are the best, love all you freaks.
Well, thank you.
Good night. See you next time, cow.
You're calling me a cow? You're mean. When he finished work, he went to the house where Janet Chandler was being honored. She was naked, on a couch, glassy-eyed, maybe drugged. Janet had a belt around her neck as music played and men and women mingled. Isn't that crazy? Like she was just some weird sex slave dumped off to the side, and everybody else was dancing and having fun. And Janet was again thrown... I think everybody that was at that party should be in jail, prison for some amount of time. You know? For not doing anything or saying anything. I mean, it's just crazy. There's like 16 people there. Not one of you over the years thought you would send a letter off to the cops and say, I don't know if you guys are aware, and write down what happened? It's ridiculous. Or go in and say, listen, I need to have a deal. Nothing for me, but I'm going to tell you what happened. Janet was again thrown onto a bed where a line of men took turns having sex with her yet again. Okay. After almost 30 years, cops had Janet Chandler's killers. Lynch pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was given 25 to 40 years. Laurie Swank broke down too and confessed her vile deeds all those years earlier. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received 10 to 20 years in prison. 4 guards were found guilty of murder. Case closed. So, boom. There you go. So, I hope you guys thought that was interesting, but it just shows you the depravity of mankind. And we also learned that Rebecca N. is a verified psychic. Oh, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you sent me an email? Okay, let me try. Oh, the other case. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see how close the 3 miles is. Oh, so it's in the article. It's in there. Okay. Chief Sheriff Deputy C.D. Johnson said the remains were found on the unmarked county road about 3 miles north of Interstate 20 and 300 yards west of FM. Okay, let's see if we can find that. Thank you for sending that. So it was more over how I had it originally. God, remember that? I had it right over here. I'm going to put it back where I had it. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just see what it says. Maybe that's not right. I'll just go with what it's saying. Okay. About 3 miles north of Interstate 20. So north of 20. Okay, there you go. There's 20. So it's almost exactly where I had it originally. And 300 yards west of FM 2965. I wish I could go back in time and see where I had that originally. So if I go 3 miles north of 20. Okay, so I know what what we got to do is it's going to be, now it's even closer to where I thought it was originally. Because I had it kind of where it is. Let me move it again though, hold on. God, sometimes this Google Earth thing drives me nuts. Okay, so that's 2965 right there. And it's got to be 3 miles off of 20. So let's see how close that is. It's 3.16. So if you're going to, right there would probably be the... So that's almost where I had it. I think I had it like down in here when I had that pin earlier. And then I switched it because it said reverse of that. Do they have Google Earth on there? Oh, look at that. For God's sakes. Can you believe that? On an FM road. They've got... Ah, man, there is Street View there. I saw it. I saw it blink in. Yeah, so somewhere just around in this area. A source close to the investigation said they found some disfiguration of the child's ribs, which could indicate the passing of a bullet through the body. The source also said wounds were found on the head, which could have been knife wounds. Man, Jesus. In the days after the abduction of the Barkley child, Dallas police and volunteer groups combed northwest Dallas and many other parts of the county in search of the girl. Several persons were purportedly to be psychics. Oh, Jesus. Every time I hear psychic, I just want to puke. You guys blow. So, anyways, yeah, it's just basically it's the same area that I had originally, just slightly over to the left a little bit. I think I had it about right down here, but it's good to have the more precise location. Off of 2965. And then, well, they actually saying 300 yards, wasn't it? Let me see that again. So let me check, let me try to get that more accurate. I'm confused. 300 yards west of FM. Okay, so if we go down about 3 miles, I think it was closer to right there, if that's accurate, and then 300 yards west of there. Oh no, it landed on a pond. They were right the whole time. It was a... Yeah, maybe it's just like in this field right there somewhere. Yeah, none of those articles popped up on when I was looking. Could have though. There were so many at the time. It was... Well, there you go. Somewhere out in that area, 300 yards off, 3 miles from 20. Yeah, I don't think knowing, you know, the exact spot on this one is going to help much. But it's always, I always like to have it, you know. All right. Well, I don't really have much more to go over tonight, everybody. Hopefully you guys thought that those 3 stories were interesting. I've been on for 2.5 hours. Ish. No, 2 hours. I meant to come on earlier, but had to watch my Blazers lose. I gotta go lay down. Take some more steroids, see what happens tomorrow. And we've also verified our own new local psychic, Rebecca N., who knew there was multiple people involved in a conspiracy when I hadn't even mentioned anybody. They all planned on it together. Yeah. The steroids actually, they do seem to work. You know what's weird is I feel this pain in my shoulder now. You know, like after your surgery's over, you can kind of feel things. I feel this really big pain right behind my shoulder blades on both sides. And I think that's where it all happened. That's where I got the brachial plexus palsy shit. They made it so freaking tight right there. And it just happens on my left side. My nerves aren't quite as good because of the other problem. I've had problems there. And it just created this massive, stupid nerve problem. Now it's just sort of right there. Kind of in the trap. A little bit, I guess, but below there. And if you go look up the brachial plexus, where it goes. Yeah, I'm just going to waste your time now since I have nothing else to do. I'm going to show you this. Actually, I found it's weird because I looked up these articles and it's pretty common now. Like there's these crazy. Let me see. Like right here, post-operative brachial plexus neuropraxia, a less recognized complication of combined. It's from different types of surgeries. This is for a plastic surgery, but. So it shows you that these things, they do happen. It's based on the way, like this one is brachial plexus injury during emergency following movement with arms restrained, a preventable complication. Yeah. Well, it has a question mark there. Yeah, it says, after an uneventful placement of an intramedullary tibial nail, an 18-year-old patient tried to sit upright with his arms restrained while still under the influence of anesthesia. In the immediate post-operative period, the patient complained of profound loss of sensation in his left arm and inability to flex his left elbow, supinate his arm, or abduct and rotate his shoulder. Neurological examination and subsequent studies revealed C5, C6 brachial plexus injury. The patient underwent range of motion physical therapy and over the next 3 months regained the full function. Boy, I sure don't want to have to be one of those people. I feel like I am, though. Because right now, I mean, I'm gaining some strength back here and there. It's just... But anyways, this is the area right here. You can kind of see how it would work, right? I mean... So you have all these nerves that come off of your C4, 5, 6, 7, and C8, which is between 8 and 1, and it comes off like this, and then goes down by your shoulders and then down. So, you know when your foot falls asleep or something like that? You fall asleep, right? And you, like your foot falls asleep, and you wake up and, man, you can't feel anything. Well, imagine having like 10 times the pressure on there for 4 hours, and it's pulling on it, shit. So that's kind of, you know, or 3 hours, however long the surgery's going to be. Yeah, that's really common well, not really common, but it's in childbirth. During birth, it squeezes down on that area there. But, yeah, all these nerves, they go out to your arms and control different muscles. Like if you go like C5 nerve root muscles, you know, it's really interesting actually how everything works. But see, if you look at this thing right here, see C4, C5, it shows you it goes down the arm. It deals with the bicep over here, goes around. These are good ones like this. See, sensation affected by C5, C6, and C7 nerves. See, I have numb index finger and thumb. These fingers are okay. The middle finger right now. So I think the main one, right, and it shows you right here in the pictures. Is this even interesting at all for you guys? All right, so it says C5, C6, and C7 nerves sensation, forearm, thumb, middle finger, and dermatome, so causing numbness and shit. So right now I'm having a problem in my bicep, C6, the shoulder, so that's looks like C5, and then the thumb right there, which is also C6, and yeah. Anyways, it's crazy, you know. So it's a total something I shouldn't have to be dealing with. But it is what it is. Oh, this one was kind of interesting. I've seen this one before. See right there? See, C5 is up here on the shoulder. I'm having problems right here on the upper... Is it deltoid? Is that right? Not deltoid. Shit. Yeah, pectoris muscle. Oh, and C3PO. Okay. Yeah, I'm having problems right here. I just want to see what that one says. I always forget.
And C3PO.
Yeah. Let's see. What nerve root affects upper pectoral? I think that's might even be C8, but that's the thing with the brachial plexus. It combines all of those. They all come out together and they funnel. And if you damage that deal, it screws up all of it. Yeah, so that's it right there. Whatever this thing is right there, I guarantee that's the one. Yeah, this pec minor thing. Okay, let's see what it says. What nerve root affects the pec minor? Now it looks like C7, C8. Yeah, jeez. Anyways, who gives a shit? I'm gonna go to sleep now. I'm starting to get that sharp pain again in the incision, mainly because this whole thing's been a pain in my neck. I don't have my sound effects open. Yes, if I tell you guys, hey, this whole thing's been a pain in my neck, I'm being literal. It's weird. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight. Cairo, Claudia Neubauer, Jessica Schubach, Kit Kat, Billy Boy Blue, Miscus, Kevin Brown, Roe, Kit Kat, Linda Howe. And don't forget that Miss Kiss did the cat eye donation. Linda Howe, Billy Boy Blue, Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal, Allison R., Billy Boy Blue, Zozo, Kevin Brown, Claudia Neubauer, Susie B., Dadio Caspian Horses Rock, Christina Kubacek, Carolina T., Zozo, Susanna, Mac, Yola, Padre, Sarita, Social Liars, and our new found psychic, Rebecca N. Dadio Caspian Horses Rock, Linda Howell, Vicky Ballard, Jenny Penny, and Dadio Caspian Horses Rock. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, well, I'm just hoping if I can feel gradually better every day, I'll feel better. You know? Hey, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I thought those were interesting ones. Two of them are solved, but I thought they both sort of were just kind of totally different and interesting, you know. I'm not taking the drugs, the pain meds. I don't want to do that. I mean, I take like Tylenol, things like that. But all right, everybody. Thank you guys very much. Probably be on tomorrow. So, you know, I'm not going to do the flyby, I don't think. I'm not in flyby mode. But thank you, generous freaks out there. I appreciate it. Yes. Well, let's all start emailing Rebecca and sending her questions. She'll solve some cases for us. Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you all for showing up tonight. And make sure that you're, still wearing your masks, just like the nurses all have over here. You're maintaining your social distancing and washing your hands as often as possible. All right? That shit works. All right, everybody? So that is it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, good rejector, uncertified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Greg is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector.
Yeah, I can do it too, I can do it too, I can do it too.
With all respect, just remember I've a temper for
Yeah, I heard it, it sucked.
I have no
that's so
agenda.
mean, that's so
I'm no
mean.
pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
Wow, that was crazy. You were in there trying to rap with it too that time.
Well, I thought I'd give it a shot since you do it all the time.
Well, I'm the one that's supposed to be doing it all the time, not you. So why would you do it? That's my part of the show.
Oh, I didn't even realize we had a part of the show. I just communicated at the end of the show. You know, we used to just say goodnight and everything, and all of a sudden you've turned it into kind of a nightmare for me.
What do you mean I turned it into a nightmare? I'm having a great time on this show every single night. You're so mean, John boy.
Wow. That's almost passive-aggressive.
What do you mean by passive-aggressive?
You know exactly what it means. You know, when you pretend that you're really offended by something.
Well, I really am. You're so mean. Good night, John boy.
Good night, Mary Lou.
You're so mean.
I give up, man. Those people, I give up on those suckers. All right, everybody. Be safe out there.